Yeah, the accolades continue to roll in after a stellar season for Nebraska volleyball. Today, the AVCA puts on its awards banquet in Kansas City, where they unveil positional honors for the very first time. And to no surprise, the Huskers are well represented among the group. Andi Jackson and Bergen Reilly are each recognized as the best players at their respective positions. Jackson is the AVCA middle blocker of the year, with Reilly the setter of the year. The first team All-American duo highlights a star-studded junior class at Nebraska, which also features fellow first-teamer Harper Murray. Both Jackson and Reilly taking the time to recognize those around them.
When you get into season, you just forget about the accolades. You know, you're working towards one goal, and unfortunately we couldn't get that this year, but I don't want it to take away from this. It's a team award. Every award we get is a team award, and I share it with all of them because I couldn't have done it without them.
We always talk about like these individual awards really are team awards, and I'm just so thankful that I have such a great team and support staff around me to help me get here. I mean, especially as a setter, you need some great passers and hitters around you.
And Creighton's Ava Martin is also recognized by the AVCA as a second-team All-American. Kiara Reinhardt also earns the honor, but wasn't at today's banquet.